All right, let's see if there's an echo here or not. All new settings. All right, doesn't sound like there's an echo on my side. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. No echo? Cool. All right. Yeah, like I said, completely new. So all the settings are new. I was like, it's going to be a complete nightmare tonight. But all right. So looks like it's going in pretty well here. So I try to incorporate as many things in as possible, all into like one thing, so I don't keep forgetting things. So we'll see how it goes. Uh, all right, so bam, this is our first kind of section here, right? First section is always going to be our review of Forex Factory, review of the week, as well as the scanner, all in one spot. For those of you that don't have the scanner and do want to get access to it, I believe there is a 14-day trial on there that you guys can check it out, see if it fits for you. If you have questions with it after you install it, you're more than welcome to bounce it off me, and I can help you see if you can use it more effectively if you like. I will go through that in a second, just so it's easy for us to kind of to run through it. With that being said, let's just dive in, kind of go with what we got here. So it's Monday. It wasn't the busiest Monday. You can see that Pal spoke today at 1 p.m. James, you were mentioning about how it really went to one level and came right back again. And again, that's kind of what we expected with no news in the morning. It is a Monday. There was nothing earth-shattering that happened over the weekend. Not necessarily, not really surprised at all. And again, currencies are more or less flat. I mean, dollar yen was the only one up 66 that really did really anything close to their ATR. You can see that pound yen up 34, really not a whole lot in there, and then pound dollar down 44. So again, some dollar strength in there, driving that thing to the downside. And then everything else is flat. I mean, Swiss 11, Aussie yen 12. But there was a couple different setups. So there was a few things that you guys could have grabbed over the weekend. The birds are obviously excited about the new setup. There you guys can see again. I had him covered up earlier because Jin walked in here with a balloon, and guess what? They don't like balloons. But yeah. Um, so as far as today, again, Pal spoke, not a lot out of it. Again, nothing, earth-shattering. Nothing we needed to see in there. Going into kind of the rest of the week as far as what we're looking for. I think that one, sorry. You can see tomorrow is kind of the same thing. Really not a lot of movement. The only thing we have is PPI tomorrow and core PPI. Now, these bounce back and forth between medium and high releases. At the current stage, they are considered marked as medium. Okay, so not as big a mover. But again, there's really nothing else happening in the morning. Now, important thing to note here, they're both at the same time, but if you look at core, core tends to be the one that is a little bit more important. And you'll see that's the one that they tend to miss a bit more. So if you see these numbers come in and you see a miss on regular PPI, you can see that this one doesn't miss too often, right? So if you do get a miss, again, just be, kind of keep track of that and kind of see, all right, well, how big of a miss and which one missed, and kind of move from there. All right. But I do expect there to be some movement, especially if one of these does miss tomorrow morning. And again, obviously they can. I mean, there's no reason why they wouldn't. Um, again, just standard, standard news trades, nothing different there. Look for movement. If it's a big spike, again, look for retraces. And again, we'll talk about levels and kind of where we're at tonight for that news release. But again, it is only considered a medium. Again, different websites rated different things. And then again, Pal speaking again tomorrow. Okay. Um, when Powell's speaking, it's always kind of a little bit strange. The markets tend to be slower because again, you're hinging upon every word that he says, trying to figure out if is it going to be a good thing or a bad thing, or what's really happening, right? Again, if you mention something about recession or interest rate changes and things, that's where you kind of run into, all right, do we need to change something? Do we need to do something different? That's where it really kicks in. So going into Wednesday, Wednesday is when we have a majority of the news. Okay, we have the Eurogroup meetings. Again, there will be times where you'll hear kind of snippets of what they talk about, or there will be kind of, when I say news releases, I don't mean like an economic news release, but there will be a press release associated with those Eurogroup meetings, depending what occurs from it. And then we have crude oil. Tomorrow night we will analyze crude oil. You guys know how that one works. And then again, 11 a.m. Pal speaks, and then bam, FOMC notes at 2. So it'll be very interesting to see. Again, what everybody's waiting for right now is to determine whether or not we're going to have one or two interest rate hikes in the remainder of the year. until they happen, I mean, people will assume they know, and the FOMC can say it, but until we've actually seen the data, we don't really officially know yet. But people are looking for some type of solidity, and I guess the last I heard that the second one is actually starting to drop now percentages, but there's like an 80% chance of one, and like was it like 47 or 43% chance of two for the year. So those numbers go back and forth literally. Is it echoing or is it the birds? There are a few of them. Yellow ones can pop. You had one do that to me when I missed big stuff. Much birds. Yeah, they're really excited tonight. I don't know why. They're really, really happy. They're just chirping up a storm. So, but then again, so FOMC, the big thing with FOMC is definitely going to be whether or not we can get 2 interest rate changes in the rest of the year. Now, one of the things that threw a monkey wrench in that recently was obviously the unemployment rate. With the unemployment rate going down by 0.2, the Fed's got to be like, do we actually need to lower them twice if the unemployment rate is going down? I don't hear the echo. Are you guys using Shure? Ernest's hearing aid battery must be going low. That's what it is. All right, Thursday. Thursday is the day that it's kind of packed the most. Everyone's like, what are you talking about? I think it's Ernest. I think it's a user error. Thursday, GDP is the first thing, 4:30 in the morning in the pound. I do think that's going to be a pretty nice mover this week, both in the pound dollar as well as the pound yen. Okay, I think that one typos issue. I have a slight echo, but it's not distracting. I don't know. Let me try this. Hold on. Let me see. I'm going to hit a button and see if you guys can hear me. Oh, you have a bad connection though. That may just be lag. All right, you guys are going to get an echo for a second. I'm going to actually turn the sound on so I can hear it. There's like a 5 or 6 second delay for me, so you will hear one echo, but I'm going to hear it real fast. Second, I'm going to actually turn the sound on so I can hear it. There's like, yeah. All right, so there is a little tiny bit. Hold on. So I can hear it. All right, hold on. Let me let the echo clear itself real quick, and then we'll see. I think there was one button I had hit before. Hold on. Clear itself real quick, and then we'll see. I think there was one button I had hit before. Hold on. Clear itself real quick, and then it's really low. I think there was one button I had hit before. Hold on. All right, let's try this. Yeah, it made it really low. Hold on. All right, I think that's it. Did you move out to the yard? Yeah, like I used to have to mute one thing but not mute the other one. It gets kind of funky. I think you guys can hear me now, right? Make sure you can hear me right now. I think so. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, because there was like one thing I had to put on, but not the other one. And then there's like something with system sound. It was always funky and I could never remember it. It was saved in the system. All right, good. Quite a bit softer. Too soft, not loud enough. Little bit of echo. Yeah, I was wondering where you were. I hope you're feeling better. You sound like Rob. All right, so on Thursday, starting with GDP, good stuff, right? I think that's going to be a mover. Carney speaking at 5:20 a.m. Eastern. That could potentially move the markets as well for them, but I am interested to see the 7:30 time frame because here you go. We don't really see ECB news too often, and monetary policy accounts, that's a good one. Okay, I think we could have some really good movement at 7:30 in the morning, and then followed directly after by CPI and core CPI. So again, Thursday morning is looking good. Now, Here is an update. I will not be here Thursday evening for chart school. Okay, I will be in Vancouver. I could potentially try to do it from a laptop, but last time I was at my in-laws' house, their internet is not capable of sustaining a stream. Um, so it's pretty difficult to do. I mean, I can bring like, all the extra monitors and try to hook it up, but I don't know that it will be successful over there. But wait, hold on. I'm a little on the Barry White side when I'm getting this Bryan. um, yeah, come on, guys. You know my voice is gonna get deeper as the fall goes further. That's just what happens. Chest, congestion, stuffed up nose. It's normal for me. Um, so on Thursday, I'm not going to attempt to do it, but I have a guest speaker that is going to do it. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you who that person is, but there is a guest speaker that has said that they will do it. I'm not even going to say the gender because it could be a little crazy. Late night DJ voice, yeah. Charts at 9 with Bryan. All right, all right. I'd say Colt 45, that whole commercial, but I think only about 3 people in here would actually know what I'm talking about. Going into Friday, CAD at 8:30 a.m. Very big news for CAD just because, again, it is by itself. There is no U.S. kind of to counterbalance it. It's their non-farm payroll, basically. The unemployment change in the unemployment rate. I think that's going to be a good one for dollar CAD as well as CAD yen. All right. No, Thursday will be at 9, but it's not going to be me. It's going to be another person. You may or may not have actually heard from this person before. It's gonna be something different. Yeah, actually, I already have one person confirmed for it. There's actually another person that I'm trying to get confirmed for it as well, just to have the backup. And if I can get person number 2, you guys are gonna be like mind blown. Yeah, I mean, again, you'll be really excited about person 1, but if I get person 2 to do it instead, you'll be absolutely mind blown. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. You definitely don't want to miss Thursday. All right. All right, so that's the week at a glance. Let's go in. Let's see if I hit this. It should go to the next one. And bam, there we go. Hopefully you guys can see the charts. All right, now let me see. Still be able to hear me just fine? It's going to be Bryan the entire time just sounding like a female and go off. No, Ryan. Hey, Ryan, if I do get a female, she will be the bomb. Like, you guys will be like mouth drop to the floor like, man, this lady is good. If I can get a lady. There's only one lady I would allow to do it though. So, but you guys would be pretty excited. Chart sound, good sound too. Okay, good. All right, so let's dive in. I'm sitting on this one for a different reason. That was a thing that I was working with Ryan earlier. All right, so Aussie yen. Okay, what do we do with Aussie yen? So again, last week we had this kind of drop down. We had the white space, and we just came back up and touched it again. So you guys are able to see. Let's see where we got here. This is I was like, wait, this is a 5-minute. Go back to the 30-minute. There we go. All right, so you guys can see right here. Okay, I had discussion with Ryan earlier, but I'm going to talk about it with everybody. You guys had to put up with some craziness last week, and with basically me losing videos and a bunch of stuff. So one of the things that Ryan and I were actually talking about, and if you guys don't know, Ryan took advantage of the mentoring, so I've been working with Ryan, is really kind of setting up a routine so you're not spending all day in front of the, in front of a computer, trying to chase down, setups and things. Well, every Sunday night we talk about gap setups, right? Here's a perfect example of a gap setup, right? Now, it was a little bit sideways, but again, we were waiting last week to get short off this purple area. We had a confirmation that it was a good area from before, right? We had the white space, we went all the way back down again. Now, whether or not you took this one or not, this would have been Friday at about 10 a.m. It started to get a little iffy, right? It's Friday at 10, Europe's leaving, it's just the United States. It's like, am I going to really get the movement off this area? It wasn't a question of whether or not it was going to move. It was a question of whether or not you wanted to take the risk, or take the weekend risk, right? The closed market risk. So in this case, the answer is if we didn't take it, it set us up perfectly for not only a short, but a gap short. Okay, so what I mean by that one is, again, if we take our 30-minute gap area, right, we can take it right here. There is our last, whoops, I click it, let's make it big. Actually want it on the top side. Hold on. There we go. There's your gap area. About 13 pips, right? Not a bad little area. Now, you could have taken it just for half, but we typically just say take the entire gap candle. So it immediately came up, it touched, and then dropped all the way back down again. So there's your 13 pip risk. And in this case, if you take it to the downside, there is your 40. Okay. What did you need? You needed 39 pips. Your 39 pips would have been right there. Okay. So there is your 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. Okay. And it hit it in less than an hour. Okay. So there's your Sunday night, one and done. You're out based off this spike. And again, if we drop it down to lower, you can see how fast it was, right? Opened here, right? Closed here. But what did it do? It went up, it hit the gap, it turned around. There's 1, there's 15 minutes, there's 30 minutes, there's 45 minutes, and you were out with a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. Okay. Now, you may have gotten nervous. It did get at the upper reaches of that one, but again, that's what can happen. And the reason we took this one, again, is we were already looking to get short. We may have been short from the prior week, and again, you may have closed it down and said, okay. You could say, was the trend down? Yeah, we were getting lower lows, right? Or lower highs, lower lows. Okay, it was definitely trying to move its way down and was pulling back up again. On the 4-hour, it was actually inside of a zone. It was right below the prior one, right? So again, everything was set up, right where we wanted to be for a quick 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. Okay, and that's your Sunday night gaps. All right, where we are now, looking forward. So we did pop back up again into that same kind of gap area, went right back up and went a little bit higher. Okay, we didn't quite get to where we were on the purple. And again, I think the purple at this point, because it was a prior level that was violated, we got to start kind of readjusting. And again, this little drop right here, had you moved that around and taken it off of this little area, actually, I'll have to do it this way. There, okay. There was another little entry for about 8 pips. Okay, let me draw this other one. Go. Okay. Sure it matches. All right. So we just had another area that we bounced into. Very, very similar. Okay. You can look on the 4-hour and say, okay, what was our trend? And again, it was a nice little pop up. We were kind of in somewhat of a trend change because we had that little green candle right in there. But again, it was popping up. It was going right back towards that same violation area again. It obviously passed the gap. It actually blew through the gap. But this is another one of those trades. What did it do? It blew through the gap. It hit a zone and then turned and flipped and retraced all the way back down again. So it was 8 pips risk on this one. And then again, to retrace back down to the start of the move, okay, would have been right here, was 19. So didn't quite get 3-to-1 out of it, but again, we knew where the initiation of the move actually happened from. So you were able to kind of get into here very, very quickly. Okay. Again, Nadex pair, would you have taken an 18 pip on this one? Maybe on something small, right? You could have taken something, right? But again, retrace very, very fast. This is one probably more suited for spot currency because we're only talking about a small bit. But again, if you can grab 15, 18 pips on a small thing like this with 8 pips risk, I mean, you're getting over a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio on it. And it took a little bit of time, but again, is it a bad trade? No. I mean, you saw this big pop up, okay? Standard pop, and then retrace right back down to the start of the move, okay? Again, parabolic retracement on this one. Where we are now, again, we're starting to move sideways. It looks like it's trying to change. This was a higher low. We'll see what it's able to do. Again, it is pushing back up into this kind of previously violated zone. So we'll see if it has the potential to drive higher. This is a news pop. Besides that, it doesn't seem like it's super. It's not really supercharged. It's not really powered very high. So I'm not really as worried about it as I probably should be. Going higher, but we'll see what it does when it comes back up again. Had you been in the short, you're out. Again, you just played the retracement and you were done. We'll see where it goes next, okay? With that being said, hold on, let me do this real quick, okay? Just so we can mark these down. So I didn't cover the scanner. I covered the top, but I forgot to cover the scanner at the bottom, okay? So I wanted to make sure that I included the scanner in basically everything that we talk about now, okay, for some of you guys. Now, you'll notice that a lot of things are sideways, right? Okay. Very, very common. I mean, the pair that we were just looking at was the Aussie dollar, right? Aussie yen. you guys can see over here in the yen basket, right? You guys see down here, sideways upward bias. And again, that's what we are, okay? If you remove the green candle that we had today, the red is engulfed, so it's sideways. If you go back, you hit the prior green before you hit the prior red. Again, meaning that is sideways with an upward bias, okay? Now, the only things we're really kind of looking at is, again, we have the dollar yen was important. Dollar CAD is in a good position that we're looking at right now. Euro pound is in a good position right now, and then euro yen is in a good position. Those are kind of everything that we're looking for. Again, Aussie, New Zealand, I'll cover that one, although I don't like that one as much. And then again, as I mentioned before, the dollar CAD. Okay. A couple other things have shifted, but nothing that's super crazy that we didn't plan for. I guess euro yen, but I don't know if I agree with that one. Okay. All right. So with that being said, we'll mark those down and we'll look at those. I will keep that up at the top. All right. Let me switch back over, go back into the charts. Just want to make sure we rely upon the scanner a bit more to help you guys with that. All right, so as we mentioned before, this is sideways upward bias, and again, that's what you can see here, and it is basically the same thing basically on all three time frames. So look at the Aussie New Zealand. Okay, the Aussie New Zealand is in a situation on the daily where we are in a downtrend setup. Now, you may look at it now and say, no, it's not a downtrend setup. Well, just a little bit ago, you guys can see that this thing just literally popped down. A few seconds ago, this was green, which gave us a downtrend, which gave us a setup, right? An uptrend setup. Now, we are more, I'd say, in a downtrend. I would say right now we are in this pair, we are definitely sideways down confirmed. We're waiting for it to turn green, but we need it to kind of move just a little bit farther. It needs to go lower, right? It's still kind of sitting in this zone. We need to clear a lot of stuff. Now, it has hit the same zone that we had marked off last week. Again, big pop up, big retrace. I would say this one more than anything right now. You guys can see it's really just gone sideways. It's really come down. It's hit this level of basing over here on the left-hand side that we had from very early September, September 6th through September 11th. It's literally run into this thing and now stopped and had basically 2 days of just completely flatness. And even on the 30-minute, you guys will see, we really had that one kind of piece here, and it just, it's just staying in the same area. Look at the ATR as well. The ATR is dropping, and it's getting real low. Okay, and this is a 30-minute chart. You guys can see that the ATR is basically at 7. Okay, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, now we do have some larger candles here, so that ATR on the daily is still a bit high. But as far as this one right now, I mean, this base has been holding, but we hit it here. It spent 3-4 candles here. It hit it again. I don't know that this is going to be able to. I don't know the buyers are going to be able to maintain this pair much longer. And really, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's really not a whole lot here. I mean, I like this buying area. That was a good push off, but really to the top side, there's not really a whole lot there. I'm not worried about this little base here because this red candle is higher. This base isn't bad, right? It's not horrible. I mean, this one is kind of blown now, but I can move this over to here and say, hey, listen, that's not a bad little area there. But again, the big thing that we're looking for up top is, still going to be kind of this zone right here, right? We're still looking for top side. Okay. And again, that was formed back on the daily. That's still, not a bad level. And last time it didn't even make it up that high. So for right now, downside, it's got to chunk all the way through this thing first. And again, there's ascending candles there. So it's definitely an area that we need to be a bit cautious about before we just start, taking shorts off of it. But it did spend enough time there. I'm not just going to take a blind long off of it either. So kind of an interesting situation. I think we're going to have to wait for some news on that one, right? Now, looking at Aussie dollar has also given us a sideways with an uptrend. And again, it's because the green's engulfed. Okay. When you go back, obviously you're hitting it. But at the same time, kind of a similar situation. We had marked this off before as well. This was very, very reminiscent of the Aussie yen trade. We did not get the entry, right? We were close, but we did not get the entry on Friday. It was very, very close. So if you take your 30-minute, again, take your 30-minute area, right? This case would have been from here up to here. Okay, you're talking about 7 pips, right? Which is not a bad little area, right? 7 pips right there. Now, you actually had 2 places to enter this one. You get to take it on the initial candle up and spike back down again, or you get to take it on the second entry. So either one would have worked. And again, there's your, we'll just say you took it off the second one, right? And your 24 pips is right here. Okay. Right there. Ooh. Actually, that's a 4-to-1, sorry, because it's 6.5. So there you go. So that is your 4-to-1 risk to rewards ratio trade. Okay. Spot. Right. There we go. Now, would you wanted to play that one right here? Maybe not. Maybe you wanted to wait for the blue and you could have. And again, you'd still be in the position you just basically grazed off the bottom of it. But again, 6.5. If you wanted to, do the 6.5 to 7, I mean, you guys could have, taken it into here. Okay, there's your 30 pips. All right, you guys see the same thing? 30-minute window, came back, hit it. Here's one entry. There's two entries. You got two different chances to get into this position. This is actually a little bit over 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Okay. So again, pretty simple one. Whoops, not that much, not that much. Mouse wheel was a spinning. And again, that is a gap. The reason I liked it was, again, you may say, well, wait a second, this is an uptrend. It's, yeah, it's an uptrend. It's the opposite direction. It came back up and retested it, but it also bounced off the 4-hour on Friday. Okay, so that's why we're looking to take that one last night. Where we are now, again, we're kind of sideways with an upper bias. If you can get some type of a nice level, there may be something in here. Again, we're getting close to this blue level. We know that we have a wick over wick on the 4-hour. So this is definitely a potential area where we could see some type of pop and flip back in the opposite direction. It could be, it could be time to get into a long, but is there anything there that really has a lot of conviction? Not yet. I mean, again, it stopped, it kind of turned, but on the 4-hour, it's like, that's a doji. Is that a reversal? Look at it over here. I mean, it's like, no, it just spent a lot of time there. There was really it wasn't like a back and forth. It just spent a lot, right? Not really sure what it wants to do, and then just a little pop. And again, that also has to do with the fact that we just had some news. So in this one, I'd like to see it grind down a little bit further. I'd like it to test this area and see really kind of what we have here. And you can't really see it on the 30-minute, but you can absolutely see it over here on the 4-hour, the wick over wick area. Again, that's what we're running into. Where are we in the curve? We're kind of smack in the middle, right? If we take top and bottom, again, use the crazy fib tool. Where is it on this one? The retracement tool. You guys can see, right? If we pull it off to here, we're literally smack right in the middle, right? We're right at the 50% mark is right at the top of the wick over wick. Okay, just happens to, you guys see it. Here's the wick over wick mark. There's the blue line. Fib tool again. Again, there's our bottom. There's our top. You guys see right here? Here's your 50. Right in the middle. So again, want to see kind of what we do with that one, if that's going to be a takeoff point or not. All right. But just kind of be aware of that one. Actually, you know what? Let me change this one to like kind of keep it, front brain there. All right, so that's where we are right now. Let's look across at pound Aussie. Okay, so there is 2 weekend gap setups for you guys. All right, so this one. We've been talking last week about how we had this upper channel, and we came all the way down. We got super, super close to the next buying area, then sucked all the way back up to the channel. We're kind of pushing sideways again. So at this point, I'm just going to take the channels off, okay, just to make our analysis just a little bit easier. There was our profit target. We'll take that off. Right now, again, we still have this kind of single wick pullback is what we're using for the bottom, where it was tickled here, didn't quite make it down here. Now, on the top side, it's a little bit different of a situation because you have these 3 highs. You have a high here, and you kind of have an equal high, but then you have a higher high. So it's definitely pushing higher. So in our analysis, when we go up and look left, we go to here, we go up, we go up, we go up, and then we look all the way left. And this is kind of what we're dealing with. So I'm going to take this and put it over in this area. This is really the first time we have a whole lot of really anything clean. And you can see there's actually a gap in there too. Okay, there's a gap from here down. Quite a bit of area to cover, right? I mean, you're talking, what, 200 pips to the top side before we hit a nice clean 4-hour zone. We only got 101 pips to the downside before we hit something in that direction. So where we are, it's in a little tiny bit of an area of basing, but there's not really anything on this one on the 4-hour that I'm looking at this screaming, that's good. Yeah. Excuse me. I think it's because when I close the door, I get warm in here, and I'm talking a lot, so like my oxygen level must be going down. It's the only reason why I can figure out that I'm funny. But where we are with this one right now, again, is there a huge trend? Can you see something screaming at you on the daily? No, not really. No, not really. The only thing I see is really looking this top or bottom, and it's kind of a wait and see situation for me. All right. Now, looking at euro pound, all right. So euro pound is in the sideways up confirm situation. So it is broken through the top side. We'd marked off this kind of top and bottom one. We've broken through the top. Okay, so what I'm looking for next is a little bit of red, because the next time when this candle stops right now, okay, we are above. Technically, this green is too, but it's kind of like, oh, I just need a little bit more. Um, if this continues to rally up, as soon as we get a red, we're in an uptrend setup situation here with some type of pound weakness. Where we are now, we are stuck kind of right at that same sell zone. You could potentially argue that on the daily, we are sitting in a supply zone. It retraced down, and that's where the price took off of. And that's what we did. I mean, it went up, it came back down again, came over, spiked all the way through, came back up, and again, we're hitting this kind of this top section. This 89.25 area seems to be some type of a magnet. It keeps kind of sucking it in, pulling it into that same area, but it really hasn't left with a lot of conviction. It hasn't really gone higher. It kind of had this one kind of burst down to the target level and then retraced its way back up again, but nothing in here just screams, hey, this is awesome. I mean, I do like this purple line down here at 88.90. I think this is a very clean kind of pullback. Any shorts you take, this definitely has to be a target. It's definitely something you're looking for. Even on this one, you guys had somewhat of a gap play as well. You know, you guys saw this one. Here's your 30-minute gap. You guys can see what did it do. It triggered here. Now, this one is kind of hard because it was kind of coming down, but this one is truly kind of trending sideways. It wasn't really given any really strong intention of really what direction it went into. So although this did come back and test the gap, a little bit more of a sketchy trade. Don't know if I would have traded this one. I didn't trade this one. If I said this is the only one I saw, I still don't know if I would only trade this one. But as you guys know, for me, I look for one and that's it. This was not necessarily when I saw this one. This one didn't ring out just because again the sideways movement. Again, having this kind of top, kind of overhanging, kind of like ledge, it just wasn't there for me. All right, and again, you guys can see, 30-minute. You guys can see it hasn't really done anything since really 9 o'clock this morning is when it just, even I guess about 8:30, right? As of 8, it just flatlined. Now news for the week on this one. Let's see. That news is, what is it? It's Thursday. Okay, so we'll have to see where we are on Thursday. Like I said, we'll cover it Wednesday night. Figure out where we're at. I'm hoping that we can get some type of a spike up or down. I would like to clear a lot of this junk, but we'll see what we get. I think if there's any type of big Brexit news, I think we'll get a move on this one. As I said, as we get closer and closer and closer, I don't know if you guys saw today. I was on Forex Vector earlier. I saw talking about Scotland. Scotland basically, I was kind of surprised, but Scotland shot down a motion to basically for the rejection. Yes, Scottish court rejects a legal bid to force PM Johnson to seek Brexit delay. So he does not. So he can still get his hard exit. Yeah, I mean, they refused to order him to do that, so it's kind of interesting. That kind of surprised me. I would assume that Scotland would have done that, but the fact that they refused it, I was kind of like, I don't know. But if he can strike a deal, that will send this pair just flying. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I'm trying to think of if there's any even really good zones that I would call out that are awesome. I mean, like I said, on a more near term, over here at 89.65 is not bad. That little kind of up basing, because that did kind of push a nice little kind of nice push away. I still think the best one though is going to be up here at 90.17. That's what we're looking for, which is like 90 pips from where we are right now. 90 pips is not a lot for any. Now euro yen. Look at euro yen on the scanner. This one is giving you a downtrend setup. Unfortunately, this is one of those cases where Oanda is not matching up with IG, because again, we've had that kind of pullback. All right. Problem I see with this one is because we had so much kind of low movement. Again, you guys look back to here, right? Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and we were kind of stuck in this little area right here. We never really quite got that clearance that we were looking for, right? We wanted this white space or the green space below the zone for that momentum breakout. but we just really didn't get it, right? All it did was kind of suck sideways again and then kind of rallied back up to the top of this purple area, right, on this daily. I mean, it went down, right? We had that nice kind of push down, right, in one day. Then it based, and now it's really just kind of popped up to the same exact level. So it hasn't really given us any conviction that it wants to leave this section. And again, we're talking about a 25, 30 pip range in here that just, I mean, again, this spent a lot of time just going sideways. Not really a whole lot there, right? And that's kind of what I'm afraid of. I think, uh, again, that the European monetary policy news, that may give us some type of a spike and bring us back down into this area, right? That could be an area that we're looking for. I think this is going to be an interesting kind of line in the sand down here. Because again, this is the last time price was this low. Look at this. You guys see this? Last time price was this low was here, which was April 2017. Okay, so you guys can see it's been a long time since price has been this low in this pair. Again, we are popping up. We did grab another level here on the 4-hour. Is there enough for take it to the downside? Is there enough conviction to the downside? I don't know. I think it's going to drive a bit higher. I think a safer area based off of this one would be this 118.07. Okay, but I don't necessarily love the way this is setting up. I think it's too much sideways movement. It has pulled up on the daily. It is sitting in kind of an extended supply zone to the side. But again, this area is really just kind of locked it in. Okay, a lot of sideways movement on this one. Looking at euro dollar. Euro dollar definitely had some more setups in it. Okay, I dropped down to the 5 minutes to talk over with this one. We'll go back over to the 30 minutes and all right. So what happened in this one? All right, so we'd had this area marked off, this level of basing. This was something we had set up really all of last week. It was here, right? We saw this kind of drop down from this daily zone level of basing and then a big push down again. And prices rallied up and came back down, or rallied back to the same area and dropped and then kind of grind. So this had been bouncing back and forth looking for some type of an entry. And we finally got an entry kind of over here. We got a kind of a push up and then a collapse and break of this zone. And what did it do? It literally ran to the backside of the channel. So as far as actual moves breaking from the channel, you're talking about 25, 30 pips. Wasn't enormous in this case, but it did give us a break from that zone. Okay. This is another one. If you look over the last 3 days, flat, flat, flat. Okay. Just hasn't come across. And the bottom side of that is encompassed right now by what? A wick over wick. Okay. Drawing the wick over wick on this time frame. It's sitting right there. So you guys see what we're running into? Bam, bam, bam. So although it came down and hit, got to be a bit cautious about that one, right? It's just one of those things. Is there enough room for this trade to run? Yes, it hit a zone, but is there an opposing zone that's going to give us enough space? In this case, the answer is probably not. I mean, there are smaller time frame things. This is again, this is one of the things that Ryan and I discussed today was kind of this basic level here. I guess he had found a downtrend setup situation. You guys can see it literally spiked back up in about 3:30 this morning. Came back, grabbed this basing level that was established last night at 11 p.m. and boom, came down. Where did it turn? Well, it's easy. It basically bounced off the daily, this basing level behind the wick over here. You guys see where it bounced off of? And again, it's doing it again. All right. So that's the big call. Now, is it worth taking something small like this versus this? Sure. I mean, your risk level is a bit different. Okay. Looking at this zone right here, this green and the red, that was written basically off of the 4-hour. So you're talking about a much bigger, you're talking about a much bigger area, right? You're talking about, right, 13 pips versus down here, you have 3.2. Much smaller scalp. And how much movement was there from this top section? 25. So almost 2 to 1 versus in this case, it was basically 17 pips to the downside, right? So you're talking about almost a 6 to 1, 5 to 1 to 6 to 1. A little bit difference in those two if you're going to be, scalping small term. Okay. I don't think if there's any type of setup for me on this one. Not really. Like I said, I would like to see this area kind of break lower. It's been hit, again, on the 30 minute, you can see here, went deeper, here. So I mean, it's people are definitely slamming into this zone that was established. I do think it's in some type of a line for um, some type of collapse, but we're not quite there yet. We need some dollar strength in this one, and again, with the U.S. news this week, I think we can get some dollar strength. But it's gonna have to be a good release. Okay, it's gonna have to be a good release that really gives us some strength. I don't know that we're gonna get it tomorrow because, like I said, I think with with Powell speaking, I think we need to. It needs to be a definitive yes or no. So if it happens, it's going to happen quick. We got to break through. Okay. Um, but again, like I said, we could start using some of these zones. But you guys can see where it bounced off of, why it keeps turning. Again, it's a zone. Kind of hard. You can see it here, not the best, but you guys can go back on the daily and see what it's running into. Right? It's a daily demand. Looking at Euro Aussie. Okay, so Euro Aussie is also sideways, down confirmed. Same kind of situation, right? Yeah, it's moving sideways, but what did it do? It came back in, it bounced it's literally riding the line right now on this daily, right? We had this daily zone set up, this drop, sideways drop, came up and touched once and went all the way back down, came up again. Again, gave us one entry, and again, how much did it move? It moved a decent amount. And again, we've pulled back and we're sitting in that same area now. So obviously not a dick space pair. Excuse me. Obviously not a native space pair, so you're not going to take this in that realm and hope that we get some movement. It would have to be something to take in currencies. I mean, I don't know. It's okay. I mean, if anything on this one, I'm looking for us to start getting a red daily to start getting that confirmation that it's time to go short again. Um, I like that zone. I mean, it's a daily zone. It was pretty clean. It did kind of push right through the top of it, which is kind of one of those things you're like, is it a great zone if it pushed through? And you don't like to see that, but it really didn't spend too much time, and then its reaction was pretty good, right? I mean, we hit here, maybe you got stopped out, but then this is a nice little run. I mean, this is a entire day and a half, 2 days worth of movement that were bearish to the downside. Again, you can see it wasn't fast, right? It was very, very slow. So I mean, it would have taken a while. It was like watching paint dry on this one. But again, we're back in the same area again. If there's nothing else there, it's a probable setup, but you got to see how you feel. Like I said, Monday it's been rather slow. Looking at pound yen. Pound yen is giving us sideways upward bias confirmed. Again, it's different on the OANA chart versus the IG chart, just slightly different with the way that they drew this candle. And again, it's also, this one has to do with the gap being messed up. Because you guys can see this red body is below this green wick, so the gap is what's kind of being a little funky. Now, could you have done the gap strategy as well here? Yes, you could have. Okay. Here is your 30-minute candle from Friday. Talking about 11 pip risk. Okay. This candle came up, and let's take it on the other side. There would have been your entry, and at its peak, it was up 60. Okay. So in this case, once again, okay, there was your risk to reward ratio of 10 pips, or what is it? Right there's the top of the candle, 11 pips. And again, over 5-to-1, almost a 6-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. You got to figure out where you're going to take it. Maybe drop down. You guys can bring it down to a 5-minute and say, okay, there we go. Okay, there's a push. There's another push. There's another push. Boom. Take myself out right there. There. Okay. 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. 11 for 44. Okay. There's another example of a sun and net gap. Opposite direction. Nice fill on your way out. And again, this one actually, it's funny, that 30-minute zone was actually like the 5-minute right there. It's the same draw on that one, right? But another one, like I said, what are we at now? 44. 38. So we're up what? 70, almost 80. Yeah, we're over 80. And then this guy right here. So 110 pips from Sunday night, just from the gap. You can pick your poison. Each one of them was over 30 pips. Again, nice little setups on all those. All right, so where we are right now, again, same situation where we're basing. This is 3 days of basically just nothing. I am still looking at this 4-hour level up here, coming up to 132.50. It is still a short area for me if we can get up there. It's about 60 pips from where we are right now. Like I said, I think this one is just slowing down because everybody's trying to figure out, is he going to make, is he going to make a deal? Is he not going to make a deal? What's happening with this?
again, nobody has an idea now. It's hard to say whether we're bearish or not because, again, he's at the stage where if he can come to some type of agreement, then that's going to really kind of give us the direction of where this whole Brexit thing is going. Um, like I said, it's hard to just kind of push the ball down the road at this point because we are here. It's the 7th. I believe October 27th is the date. So, I mean, we are within 20 days of, I guess at this point, I mean, I guess there's no agreement or anything. I guess right now it would be considered a hard exit. Um, and again, Brexit has been something that's been, God, it's been a couple years now, right? Yeah, it's been like 3 years now, 4 years, I think, in the works. So, yeah, it's crazy that it's here. All right. That's what we're looking for. Downside, I'm still, again, like I said, I like this to the top here. This downside here at 131.13. Okay, again, 70 pips in the other direction, I think is also a valid area that we'd be looking to buys as well. Um, um, all right, so let's go to pound dollar. Gosh, just snuck in. All right, so again, rock and hard place. We talked about this before. It did blow through. It did go up. It hit the 4-hour pop. It came all the way back down, and again, this one ended on Friday, right? It came back down and it retraced that parabolic retracement as we mentioned over here. It did come up, it based, it went down and went lower. So this one had the same type of gap situation. You could have potentially played this one. Again, price was moving back down again. It did look like it was driving back down again. But again, we were a little bit limited on how far we could go, okay? Now, on the 30-minute, this was a rather small one, and I hesitate to show this one just because I don't know. Like I said, there is your risk. It's about 7 pips, right? And had you gotten in your entry here, okay, moving to the start of the move, which is right here, right? And again, it did go below that. Is right there. Is 32. Okay. So, was this one as easy and was I as confident with this one? The answer is no. I thought this one was a little bit sketchier just because I was afraid of what was going to happen this morning. And again, it did go down. It did go, what, about, I don't know, it went about 8, 12 pips past where the profit target would have been over here, and then it retraced all the way back up again. And then it actually gave you a second entry, and you could have done the same exact trade again, right? You're going to continue this cross and done the same exact thing again, okay? If you extended this across. Again, there's the gap area. Okay, so 2 different entries in the same position. Both of them were at least 34 pips. Again, they both kind of had the same, here was one target, here was the other target based off of this green candle right here. So it basically gave you the same target twice of 34 pips. You could have snagged out of that one, which again, it's always nice when you can double dip like that. And again, that was a nice little gap area. As little as this one moved, I'm actually kind of pleased how that one turned out. But this is not the one that I traded either. But again, could you have? Absolutely. Okay, like I said, today has just been kind of a story of, man, this was the weekend of the gap candle, right? Every single one of them, which is good because the gap presentation got messed up. So I lost all the gap pictures that I had. So it's good that there's this many. Yeah. All right. Trying to think what's next for me. Again, like I said, I'm still looking to hold. I'm still looking top or bottom. If you know how to set alerts, again, I'd be setting an alert for this area here, and I'd be setting an alert for this area right here. Okay, those are 2 areas that I want to know when price is approaching. Oops, no, not that one. Just give me the end. There we go. There. Okay, and again, those zones, those alerts are 124.09 and 122.55. I want to see when we break either of those two to kind of start getting an idea of if I'm going to look to most likely. I'm assuming a trend continuation, but we'll kind of see when price hits that area. All right. Going to pound New Zealand again. There wasn't really much. I mean, again, there was gap plays on the pound yen and pound dollar. Was there much more besides really just kind of a retracing back from the gap? Not really. And again, this is not the pair to mess around with on that one. Okay, we've had 3 days of flat. We did have a pullback up, and you guys can see what did we do? We went right back in, and again, popped into a previously violated zone where all this price that had sucked in there finally broke through the bottom. Could you have taken it off of that? You could have if you wanted to, but I just feel like with this pair, you may have been forcing it, may have been opening yourself up to a little bit too much movement. Was it worth it? Yes. Had you taken it, it would have went in your favor, but I feel like the risk was just probably too much. Would not have advised against this one. Okay. On the 4 hour though, it did give us another lower high. You know, here, 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 and here. It is at the stage now. Oh, not horizontal. It is at the stage now where you're going to have people talking about this because we now do have 3 touches of a downtrend. They're going to be looking at this and saying, "Ooh, is it going to break? Is it going to break? Oh, if it goes above trend broken, I'm going long." Okay, so just kind of, again, you will see people doing that based off of where it is. Just watch that. Know that people are looking for that one. Um, you know, this one is technically in a sideways downward bias confirmed. It is technically a little bit past. Any type of kind of pullback in green, we should be looking for some type of a downtrend setup situation. I do think it has room to run to the downside. It's got to break through. This is not the best area. This is a pretty good area though. So just know that we're going to have probably some issues with this area. All right. Um, yeah, like I said, if this goes much higher, if this goes higher on the day, if this starts to re-pull back up again, we are in a downtrend setup situation. So this was actually a trade setup that you could have taken. Okay. And it would have been based off of this. Okay. When this was high, obviously you guys can see it was green at one point. Obviously the spike up, this was green, downtrend setup. Here is your wick over wick, right to there. Oops, right there. Okay, it's about 22 risk. And here's the start of the move, which we just completed. And you guys can see that was about 90 pips. Not only a trend line, but it's also a wick over wick zone. I'll remove this. And green spike up, that would have made this candle for the day green, which action, a red anchor. It was outside of this green, which made it a valid downtrend setup. Not only was it hitting a two-touch trend line, but it also hit a wick over wick, and as well as a parabolic retracement and drop down. So it was like a 3 strikes of you're going short type situation. Okay, and again, you guys can see the start of the move. If you bring it over to 30, you can see this where the first pop was, and that's where price is right now. That puts you at about 90 pips on that one. It's just over 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Okay. All right. I'd like this to continue dropping. I'd like this if we can get it back down to this zone, back down to 194.38-ish, 139.40-ish. I may actually be looking to take some type of a little bounce. If we can get that, if we can kind of go back and forth here, I've been actually looking at this zone for some type of news release. Like if we can have ourselves in or close to it for news, I'm looking at it as kind of a launching or a takeoff point. I really like the way that it came down. It spent one candle here and then kind of took off. So definitely a fan of that zone. And again, that's drawn off of this ascending candles here. You guys can see it. It boxed it perfectly. It's these 2 wicks. So I like this one. I'm a big believer in this one. If we can get back there. And then again, it's drawn off the 4 hour, but you can see it perfectly engulfs the bottom turn on the 30-minute. Okay. That is a long area for me. Look at New Zealand dollar. Bam, there we go. All right, New Zealand dollar right now is sideways with an uptrend, and here's why. Okay, technically this green right now is engulfed. It's still sitting inside of this kind of sideways channel, so it's not really giving us a clear intention of really what it wants to do right now. It did have a bit of a pop, and it looks like it's trying to pull back, although it's not super impressive. Looking at it on the lower time frame, you can see that super impressiveness is really this candle down. It went sideways and just popped up again. So it was a little bit of a pop down, a little sideways up, and a little. So it's really, really stuck kind of around this 63.15 area. Got to get a bit more, bit more clearance. It just really wasn't great. If you look back, I don't even think, where is it? The gap is in here. Where is it? Right. Yeah, it's right in here. Okay. It basically went from here up straight down. So didn't really give you much chance to even enter in this one, nor, again, there's a little bit here, a little bit up here, you were boxed in. So this would not have been a gap qualified trade. At this point, I still think we're probably going to head a little bit. I think it's trying to grab some orders, and I think it's going to probably head to the downside, but not really in love with any of the 4 hour, Not really. I don't really like any of these 4 hour zones, right? I don't like necessarily here. Um, I'd like it if this one had more of a wick on the red down to here. Then this would be looking for something, but uh, and I guess this is not horrible. Not a horrible little area. Not horrible, but I mean, you could potentially look for something there. But again, it's New Zealand. It's not an index-based pair either, so you're not going to take that. I don't love it. Okay, dollar Swiss. So dollar Swiss had much more of a mute day today. Dollar Swiss right now is moved 0 in 24 hours. If you look at this one, it is considered. This was one of those ones that conflicting on the daily. It's sideways downward bias. On the 4 hour, it's an uptrend. On the 1 hour, it's sideways with an upward bias. So if you can tell me what the trend is inside of these four candles, more power to you. But anytime you have this kind of pop up, pop down, pop up, pop back down again, I mean, it's really hard to determine what the trend is. I mean, the trend is basically whipsaw. Like if that is a definition, it's the trend is whipsaw, right? Big spike up, big spike back down, big spike back up again, made it halfway, grabbed more orders, went halfway again, and gave kind of a head and shoulders, right? Here's a shoulder, here's a head, here's a shoulder. It broke, it went to the start of the move. It's literally just bouncing back and forth. There will be somebody that talks about this and says, yeah, head and shoulder here, it broke the neck. I took it, to the corner. Yeah, I got it. Okay, but again, it's not hard to create a head and shoulders in your mind when things are going bing, 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 back and forth. Okay, not that difficult. Now, we are close to this bottom level. This bottom buying area has been very strong. It's been hit here, it's been hit here, it's been hit here, and it really spent a lot of time basing. You can see really since Friday, it really hasn't moved much, right? This morning we had a bit pop down and then basically a pop back up again. Let me bring this back up to the 30-minute. There you can kind of get a better idea, right? That was that first spike, second spike, and then now look at what it's done. It's really run on a moment. Like this is the spikes that we had last week. This is the spikes that we had today. Really from Friday till now. Again, these are the big ones, right? Even these small retracements here from like Wednesday, from 8:30 to 12, you had, top to bottom, you had 60 pips. Over here, since Friday, we're talking about a 30 pip range back and forth. Okay, so there really hasn't been too much tradable on this one. Um, Again, all the great movement we had last week, right now it's kind of in that slowdown phase. So not sure we'll have too much. I think something, I mean, obviously any of the China talks helping, not helping, that would be something that would move this around. I'm trying to think if anything else would. I mean, obviously your standard like usual suspects, missiles being shot or protests or anything that's related to the world. Um, what do we even have here? I don't even know. I mean, like the China trade delegate is on its way, so I mean that is going to like it may actually happen this time. No, there's not even news. Yeah, Zero Hedge says that China is ready to do a deal on the parts of negotiation. Like, yeah, we'll see when you get here. Um, yeah, this pair, I just think yeah. Like I said, last week there was enough things back and forth, but there's nothing that's really front brain right now for any of the people for this pair. And like I said, looking at it right now, again, I don't mind this area down here, but am I willing to take longs off of it? Not really. And that's how you can see why last week here, just in 3 hours, you had more movement than we're having in an entire 3 days. Okay, so bit slower. Now looking at Dollar CAD has a couple different things this week that are actually pretty nice little setups. All right, I think Friday's going to be a great one for it. I think what's the other one? Friday at 8:30 is going to be a good gun, and then we have all the dollar stuff on it on Wednesday. Um, Now, mentioned this earlier. We're still sitting at this kind of top section. We are getting a little bit of downward movement. Is it flying? No. Has it taken a little while? Yes. I mean, it's just been like, I mean, again, it's just this umbrella. It's like, yes, go down. Like you want to go down. You can tell that it wants to fall. Okay, we are getting a red, green, red. We have that right now if it closed. You can see it. It's on its way down. But man, has it been painful to watch this thing. Jeez. It's like, just go already. With that being said, depending on what it does over the next couple of days, if it's able to grind down or not, if the GDP number, or basically, the non-farm, I'm sorry, not GDP, the non-farm number for the pound on Friday, or I'm sorry, not the pound, the CAD, if that's good on Friday, that could be the catalyst this needs to kind of shoot right back to the downside. Um, the move total right now is probably about 80 to 85 pips probably to the downside. It absolutely can cover that with a really big miss on Friday, if we hear nothing from now till then. I think it's set up for it. The entry on this one has been a bear to enter. You may be short if you got short at the top of that green and kind of based it off of, if it broke above the high, you could say, okay, listen, I'm going to enter at the green and I don't want it to go higher than what the high was over here at 133.88. You'd be up in the trade right now. You'd be up small. Okay, like I said, it's bounced back and forth. You've watched yourself go to break even a few times. But you'd be up about 28 pips right now to the downside. Your eventual profit target, I would say down at 132.20. I don't think there's any reason why it can't go that far. It's about 70 pips from where we are right now. Can it do that? Absolutely. It's basically 1 day ATR. Okay. It just takes 1 day for this thing to move. But man, it has just been fighting up there. It's like, oh, geez, just go. But it's just hanging on. There's some news about the Swedish. No movement. There's a Swedish royal family. Really? They're like a king. I guess there is like a king and queen of Sweden, isn't there? Yeah, nobody cares, right? It's not really like a big deal. Nobody's concerned about it. But dollar cat obviously bearish. Again, this could be one of those like a weekly position, but it's only 70 pips, so you got to be a little bit cautious with it. Um, eh, I don't, I don't know. I almost kind of want to pull back a little bit and go into the news on Friday, but enough movement this one. There's enough going on. Going to the dollar yen. Uh, Bam, there we go. All right, so this is one that we had a bit of a wick over wick, right? There's a little bit of a wick over here, just a little tiny touch. And again, when we were in the downtrend, we ended up hitting it. Now, this is one of those ones that you need to be cautious with. And here's why. You may say, well, wait a second, that's only one touch. Isn't it good for another touch? And the answer is, maybe, maybe not. Because here's what happened. Why did it stop? Was it just pulling? Like in this case, it drove down, it got forced back up. It pulled back to grab more orders to force down lower, but it didn't hit anything, right? I mean, it already blown through. It broken through this zone. It had already been this low before. Again, it pulled back slightly to grab some orders and then drove down. And then what did it do? It ran into a daily wick over wick, which we know you have to respect. So in this case, this was a positive trend reversal off of a daily wick over wick. Okay, so would we take it a second time? It's not, it's a good zone. It definitely had some movement last time. Could you have taken it? Potentially, right? But the problem is on this one is look, okay, as soon as this one, now again, on the scanner, this one will give you it'll show you downtrend setup. But where are we? We are so far above the anchor right now. It's just crazy, right? And again, this is another situation where the gap is kind of messing it up. The gap definitely screws it up a little bit. It's not perfect with gaps, but it's given that reading right now, okay? Um, so but we were outside of that range. It's technically because it is above the anchor, it was more set up in a long, not a short. So when you take into consideration the fact that it is an anchor break, it did bounce off a daily demand zone, and it is pushing, you gotta wonder, hey, is this area going to hold? In which case it didn't. It forced through. It came slightly back to grab some more orders and is now grinding higher. Versus, and again, what was the motivation? I mean, you can see that it pulled back here, grabbed, came lower again, based, dropped again, pulled up, boom, and that's where it hit. So eventually all trends will reverse, and then and your job is to figure out where they will. It's typically going to be off the larger time frames, supply and demand zone, and that's in this case, that's what it is. It was a trend reversal. So if you were picking tops or bottom, you probably got to stop. You probably got to stop out on this one. if you were just following trend, you had to look at this one and realize that the trend had changed. As soon as we had a green, a red, and then the green push above, which would have been, here, I'll draw it. Okay. Soon as we breached that level, that shows us that we are in a green, red, green, that we have a trend reversal. Okay, so once there's a trend reversal, it's kind of like, yeah, do I really want to, do I really want to risk taking this? Answer is probably not. Okay, so was it a zone? Yes. Was it when you wanted the trade? Probably not. Okay, it wasn't as good as something like this, but this level of risk to this daily demand zone. Okay. Um, Now, if we get up to this next zone, then I would potentially be looking to have this some type of reversal. That's at 107.75. It is one of those kind of, quarter numbers where it's like, that's a quarter of a dollar. Just like the zeros, the 75s are also pretty good, 25 and 75. Again, obviously 50 and 100 are multiples of that. So that is definitely a potential area where I could be looking to do some type of reversal. Ideally, in this one, I'd love to be up there for any type of US news. I think that would be a great area to be in so we could take a short off of it if we can get there for news time. If it does it beforehand, take it. You traded this one? Yeah. Yeah, you always got to be cautious. And like I said, adding kind of this trend reversal here, because remember, what do we use? What do you use for, for reversals? Confirmations, right? We use a color change. Well, a red, green, red is a confirmation south. A green, red, green is going north. Was it a zone? Sure, but you have to look of it bounced off a daily zone, a nice one, right? Okay, it hit, bounced up, hit again, didn't go as high. So okay, there's buyers forcing this higher. And then as soon as it cleared this here, you knew we had a color confirmation. We had a confirmed color change on the daily. So um, he took 5 of his grandchildren as an official members. Yeah, but isn't the king a female? My wife constantly argues me about that women can be kings. I'm like, no, they're queens. Like, no, there's a king. I'm like, no, just call them queens. Um, that one taught me to get out for news. Yeah, I mean, if you're in a position, there's no point in taking it with news. You don't have to. You can always get in after the fact. All right. Let's look at over here at CAD yen. Can do it. So this one did not make it all the way to profit target. I just wanted to point that out, guys. Again, not everything is a winner. Some of them don't work. In this case, there was about 17.8, um, about 18 pips risk. At its best on this one, if you were able to enter this trade, okay, you guys made it to 40. So you were over 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio on this one. So again, should you have taken a loss on this one? The answer is no. Okay. Now, whether you wanted to take this one or not, this was about 10 o'clock on Friday. Kind of a sketchy thing that you may say, did I want to take that one? Could you have taken it? Sure, you had to hold over the weekend, and that's where this whole thing reversed on you. Again, for me, something like the CAD yen, that's going to end in basically, again, I typically would like to be out of all my trades by 11, 12 o'clock. Not enough time, right? You're running out of time real quick on this one, and that's kind of what messed the analysis up. But should you have lost any money on this one had you taken this one? The answer is no. You were up over 2-to-1. You were only really going for like a 3-to-1 or just over 3-to-1. Why risk 2 to make 1, right? That's an important thing to understand in this one. So really in this one, as soon as you kind of we broke here, you should have got yourself out of the trade, right? We pushed down, we came up, and then it formed a new low. You would have taken yourself out basically right there. So you should have got stopped out with a plus 22 pip on this one. But I just want to make sure we cover that one because, like I said, I don't want to show you guys just everything that works. This is one of the ones that does not work, and obviously you're going to find ones that don't work. That's just trading. No one's going to ever be perfect on this one. There's no way to account for everything out there. And actually, let's look at CAD Swiss real quick because it is showing us that we do have a downtrend set up in it. I just want to see if it matches up or if there was a gap. Yeah, it's a downtrend setup. Okay, so this guy, be looking at something along that line. Find this one a little bit. So you're looking at about 9 pip risk on that one. Profit target's going to be the pain. Probably along. Something along those lines. Okay. So downtrend setup, we go across, we see the first little area would be this. Yes, it did come back up, but it spent no time there and really spiked back down again. You guys can see it here, touch this kind of lower level. So we'll be a little bit more conservative. We'll take the upper end of it, right, which is based off of this green candle on this turn. 9.1 risk on this one. Return potentially would go back down. And again, I'm bringing that back to the start of this original move. It pushed here. It pushed a little bit lower. Would just basically say that it pushed one more time. So 9 pip risk, 42 gain on that one. As you guys can see, this one is $10.05 per pip. Okay, so it's about, basically a, $420, potential profit on this one with under $100 risk. Okay. Turkey going to war. Anybody going to war can affect the Swiss. Because there's no such thing as a non-global war at this point. And Turkey is one of those weird countries where it's located geographically, it is a big deal because they lose there's implications to the European safety net and all those kinds of things. So yeah, Turkey going to war is a big deal. The European Union has to worry about them. All right, so that's the last one. Like I said, that was one extra one. I saw it on the scanner. Again, like I said, I was actually skipping it. Not a bad little attempt there. We see if it, that one may work out or may not work out. But again, at the end of the day, at a 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade, remember what the statistics show us. Statistics are extremely important. At a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, you need to be correct in your trade setups 26% of the time. If they are 4-to-1 like this trade setup is, you need to be correct 21% of the time. Okay. When you start stacking the odds in your favor in that direction, and again, we already know based off the daily, it's pulling back for some more orders. Is it a reversal area? Not really. It's not really the best reversal, so it didn't really turn off of it. On the 4-hour, we saw an explosive move from that area, so we know that there definitely were some buyers there previously in the past. And we're not, looking for a home run on this one. This is just a single, and those happen all the time. What is it? Oh, they're getting ready. Turkey's nuts, buying Russian air defense, then US F-35. Yeah. Yeah, it's all funky. I mean, they'll grab whatever they can get their hands on. All right, so that's it, guys. That's it for tonight. I will see you guys tomorrow night. I will be around tomorrow, although tomorrow morning I'm going to be quite busy, so I won't be around. If you guys have any questions, you can shoot them across, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. But I will be out and about tomorrow morning, so if you have a question, please do send me a chart on Discord, and that way I can give you a hand with it. Or if any of the senior members are on, you guys are more than welcome to answer it as well. I will work more on the potentially second special guest for Thursday. Make sure you guys are have a treat when I'm out of here. And with that being said, let's close down. Let's see if I switch this. There we go. You guys, I'll give you guys 30 seconds to enter the drawing. Looks like 7 of you are in right now. Let's see. You notice Ernest is not in here yet, right? Ernest is saving us till the end. He's keeping it. James is in. James is like, I'm going in first this time. There he goes. He got in. All right. Anybody else? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Ernest is like, close it! Close it! All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, closed. And the winner is... Oh, Josh. Josh ganked it from you. Actually, it's probably Josh's daughter ganked it from you, but Josh will be very excited. And Josh's daughter, if you're still listening, make sure you tell him that you won him extra pip chips tonight. That he needs to buy you an extra tank of gas for the car. That's what he said. He says you have to watch it so you get to. All right, so let me give these to Josh real quick. Josh right here. Pip chips. Bam. He's at 225, so he's also approaching the level where he can get. All right, so back to IT. So guys, spoiler, it's me with busy. James, I'd let you guys do. I'd let you guys do one of those things. What I'd probably do, James, is I'm gonna make you or Ernest do like a Sunday night. I'll probably make Ernest do it first, just because no pressure on you, James. Um, I don't know. I feel like James, if I don't know, Ernest is a big football fan too, so I don't know. But I feel like if like I give you guys like a chart school to do, like in Dallas loses, God knows what we're gonna get that night. You know, I think my chip strategy is a down draw. Ernest, you had 3 in a row, and I don't think you've won since. Everybody said that basically it was rigged, and then you haven't won since that time, so not rigged anymore. All right, guys, it's 10:15. I got some stuff to do. I'll be out tomorrow morning early. I will catch you guys tomorrow. I'm also on the Nadex, doing the Nadex broadcast first thing from 7:30 tomorrow morning. So if you guys are awake, make sure you guys sign on to that, and yeah, it won't be right. Right is in the eye of the beholder, James. That's all that matters. Everybody will love you anyway. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Touch base tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Take care.